You're listening to the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Wyatt, and today we're talking all about the state parks here in Mississippi with Andre Hollis.
This episode of the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast is brought to you by the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks.
All about state parks, the Mississippi State Parks here in the state of Mississippi with Parks Director Andre Hollis. Andre, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I was thinking that we ought to probably cover something first.
Okay.
Before we get into your career with MDWFP. Before that, you made a name for yourself tackling Mississippi State quarterbacks. Well, and other quarterbacks, right? Did I get that right?
Well,
while you were at Ole Miss?
Well, actually, I was a receiver at Ole Miss.
Okay, so you were on the offensive side.
I was on the offensive side.
Well, then we can be
wanted
friends.
The ball. Yes, right. I definitely wanted the ball. So, but I played receiver at Ole Miss from 92 to 96. Enjoyed, my time up there. Met a lot of good people. And so, graduated from there. My wife graduated from there. And my son also. So, we got a lot of connections at Ole Miss, and we had great moments there.
And you still go back to games?
We season ticket holders for the football games. But my daughter, unfortunately, she's worked for the football team at Mississippi State. So we kind of got a house divided, but I still love her.
That's great. So you were a receiver on those Ole Miss teams in the early 90s for Coach Brewer.
Yes, sir. I started with Coach Brewer, and then we went through Coach Joe Lee Dunn for 1 year. And then my last year at Ole Miss, I had Tommy Tuberville. So I went through 3 coaches in 4 years, so it was tough. But like I said, I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world because I'm definitely an Ole Miss guy.
Some of the games I'm trying to remember because I was a high school kid coming up watching you guys play. Then quarterback Russ Showles.
That's right. Russ was there. Russ was a senior my freshman year once we got there. And then I had Lawrence Adams, had Dewey Innocent for running back, Corey Philpott. And my freshman year, our defense was the number 1 defense in the country when we had Big Norman Hand and Tim Bowens and those guys. So, and Cassius Ware and Dotson.
Yeah, Ware and Dotson and those guys.
Yes, sir.
You guys had some really good football teams there.
We did. Coach Brewer, of course, I appreciate him and, for recruitment for one. And but we had some great guys that came up there during my time. And like I say, lifelong friends now. When I go back up there, I see a lot of the guys and we enjoy hanging out.
Yeah, I bet you do. That's great.
Yes, sir.
All right. So there it is. Ole Miss Rebel. Through and through.
Through and through.
For life.
For life. Yes, sir.
And played ball there. And then you graduated. And pretty shortly, you began your career with Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. Tell me kind of how that happened.
I'm going to tell you, I really feel like it was a godsend. I just happened, I had just graduated from Ole Miss and just happened to be at a grocery store in our local hometown of Morton. And then the state director, Latrell Ashley, was in the grocery store, and he asked me what I was doing. And I told him, I said, well, right now I'm still trying to figure it out, so in between jobs. And he said, would you be interested in working for state parks? And the rest is history. It's been almost 27 years now that I've been with state parks, and I loved every moment of it.
And you started at LaFleur's Bluff at the park there.
I did. I was a park ranger at LaFleur's for 2 years, and then I got the opportunity to come back home at Roosevelt as the assistant manager for 4. And then after 4 years as assistant manager, I was the park manager there for 16 years before I came over to the Jackson office, and I've been over here now for 5 years. So been a great career, man. I enjoyed it. And like I said, if I had to do it all over again, I would in a heartbeat.
So you started on the south side of Lakeland.
That's right.
Went over to hometown.
Right.
And now you're back on the north side of
Now I'm
Lakeland.
back on the north side. And like I said, it's been almost full circle experience. And like I said, I'm a true state parks guy. I love state parks. When I was growing up, we used to go to Roosevelt. And once when we was going to Roosevelt when I was a young child, it was like going to Disney World now. So those moments you'll never forget. And that's what I love about state parks. A lot of memories. And then when people come, they've been coming for 20 and 30 years. And they was coming as kids. Now they raise their kids coming to state parks. And that's what state parks is all about.
Yeah. Now, you told us earlier, there's also something unique about your time when you started as the park ranger at LaFleur's Bluff, because back then it included law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And you, I guess your class, you were the guys the last to do that before law enforcement became a division.
That's exactly right. In '98, January of '98, I went through the police academy, a law enforcement academy, and got certified as a law enforcement officer. And at that time, it was like 10 guys in state parks that carried a weapon. Now I'm the last one standing, so I assume whenever I retire, won't be any more in state parks. But I'm proud of that moment. First of all, being able to graduate from the academy, and then being the last one on the state park side that's still a law enforcement officer. So I feel that's an honor for me.
Police academy.
Yes, sir.
What was that experience like?
Oh, it was rough. The good thing that helped me though, playing football at Ole Miss. So coaches, I was used to coaches hollering at you and getting in your face and screaming at you. So that wasn't as bad. But just being away from home and wanting to go home and couldn't go home, and then people screaming at you. They getting up at 2:00 in the morning, standing in front of the flagpole, doing PT and that type of stuff. It was different. But I was blessed to get through.
I wondered if that two-a-days football practice experience in college would sort of prepare somebody like you for that. Sounds like it did.
It definitely did, no doubt about it. If I wouldn't have probably went through that, I probably wouldn't have been able to handle the law enforcement academy. So that definitely prepared me for that.
And I would guess too that they're probably, I mean, a lot of us, we hear police academy, we're thinking about the movies.
Right.
Which is not reality.
No, it's definitely not reality. I wish it was something like that, but no, it definitely, it was tough. But it's more mind games, mental. So once you can get past the mental side of it, it's nothing to it. Okay,
and so you began as the park ranger at LaFleur's Bluff, 98?
Well, I actually started in 97.
97.
I started in August of 97 as a park ranger. Then they sent me to the academy in January of 98.
Okay. And you made the move to Roosevelt State Park when?
In 99.
Okay.
So, I went to Roosevelt September of 99. And, I was just glad to be back home. And, I was assistant manager at the time, young guy. Thought I had it, thought I knew what all parks was about. But going from a LaFleur's to a bigger park, it was totally different because you had food service and stuff that I had never been involved in. You had a bigger campground because LaFleur's campground is only 30 campsites. When I went to Roosevelt, it was 109. So
oh, wow.
it was a change. So
that's a big difference.
It was a big difference. But being back at home, and I had the community support because most of them knew me already. So that was huge, and I was definitely glad to be back at home. Of course, I was close to my mama, and being able to get that home cooking for mom. So that was definitely a plus.
Yeah, and I was looking through some of the notes too in your history. There were a lot of things going back to when you were 10 years old.
Oh yeah,
that was special for you about Roosevelt State Park. Tell me about that.
Just thinking about that give me chills because I was baptized at Roosevelt State Park when I was 10 years old. And a lot of days when I was managing that park, I would ride through and I would go, sometimes I would just go down there and sit down there and just kind of meditate and just thinking, man, this is where it started at for me. Now I'm 50 years old, so that's been 40 years ago that I was baptized at a vacation Bible school during the summer at Roosevelt State Parks. Those are the kind of memories that I'm talking about that people, when they come to state parks, that they carry with them forever. I would never forget that moment. I had my high school prom at Roosevelt.
Wow.
So many memories, man, that I would never, ever forget with state parks as long as I live.
You couldn't write that story. The way God put it together is incredible.
No, sir, you couldn't. And like I say, first, just starting out, being at the grocery store at the right time, and the director of state parks at that time asking me what I was doing. And now I'm in his position as the director of state parks, man. Unbelievable, man.
It really is.
And God is good.
Yeah. I look at it. So 10 years old, baptized in the lake at Roosevelt. Morton's your hometown.
Yes, sir.
You marry your hometown sweetheart.
Yes, sir.
Y'all both go to Ole Miss, play football, and great teams, have that experience.
Yes, sir.
And within a few years of graduating college, you're managing Roosevelt State Park. That blows me away.
I'm gonna tell you, it's unbelievable. Because even once I graduated from Ole Miss, I'm still not thinking about working for state parks. Yeah. Still trying to figure it out. A lot of times we go to college because you was told you had to go to college. But like I said, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship, so I didn't have to pay for college. And that was unbelievable. That was a blessing for my family, for one, because I was the oldest kid of four. And it was a blessing for my family not to have to pay for college because we had to take care of other things. And just being able to go back to Roosevelt, man, like I say, and with the support that I had from the community, it was unbelievable.
And so did you say 27 years now with the department? Is that right?
Almost 27 years, man. And, like I say, it's been a great experience.
Yeah.
People be saying, when you don't retire? Well, why retire when you're having fun? I enjoy doing what I'm doing. And the thing about it now, we got a lot of renovations and stuff that we're doing for state parks. The funding, wasn't there for many years, but now we finally got the funding to be able to upgrade our cabins, campgrounds, and stuff like that. So why would I want to leave when all this fun stuff going on? I don't know when I'm gonna retire. Like I said, I'm just putting it in God's hand and letting Him lead me to when He want me to retire.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned some of the things that go on at state parks that, in terms of upkeep and modernizing things, building things, expanding. If you kind of scan across the entire state, I think it's 25?
25 state parks.
25
yes,
state parks. What kind of things are going on right now that people need to know about?
The biggest thing, we got 3 big campgrounds closed right now. We got Roosevelt, Percy Quinn, and Paul B. campgrounds closed. We hope to have those open all 3 of them back open by October. Okay. So once those campgrounds become back open, you're talking about campsites that's going to be 70 to 80 feet long, 20 feet wide. So, unbelievable campers will be able to get in there. Right now the campers are so big now, they was having trouble with our smaller sites. They won't have that issue anymore. They'll be able to park a car on the site as well. So that's going to be huge. Cabins getting renovated because our cabins hadn't been renovated for a while. So now once they come in, a lot of people, we actually undid some of them that's already done. And when people walk in, the first thing they say is, wow. That's that's what we want for our customers. We want them to walk into our facility and say, wow. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of goal that we're setting right now, to do the upgrades and to make it pleasing for our guests that's coming to the parks.
So as the manager of the state parks and director of state parks, statewide, how do you make those decisions about, okay, we're going to do this one now, and then this one's the next one down the road? Like, because I'm sure that each park would love for you to do theirs right now.
Right. Yeah, we definitely, everybody, like you say, all 25 parks want you to do theirs right now. Yeah. What we've been trying to do is try to do sections at a time. We're doing the bigger, we got what we call the big 6. We've been trying to do those first and go ahead and get those out of the way because, of course, they're bringing in more revenue at this time. So we want to get those back upgraded first, and then we don't try to move throughout the state and try to do the rest of them. But we want each park to get theirs.
Yeah. Because
each park is important to the state, and each park is important to somebody in the state. So we definitely plan on getting around to each and every one of them.
And I think, Andre, that's something I've never really thought about. Is someone like you in your position, okay, so you're looking at all 25, and you've got parks from like J.P. Coleman, extreme northeast Mississippi on Pickwick, and then some that are on the coast. And so those parks, just kind of by nature, are totally different.
They are.
Landscape's different.
Yes, sir.
So I guess those types you have to manage those differently, don't you?
You definitely have to manage them different. And that's the thing about it. All of our state parks got something that's different on that park. So, some people want to be up in Iuka. And then you got some people that want to be down at Buccaneer on the coast. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing about our parks. All our parks are unique. We got Tishomingo State Park. They got the swinging bridge that everybody loves. Mm-hmm. You got Roosevelt State Park. They got the tower and different things there that offer. But like I say, each park has something special. So I can promise you, if you go to one park and then go to another, it's going to be something that you see, hey, I like this better than, the other parks. So all of them unique.
In terms of use, and this is a broad question, so I'm not an expert. You're the expert. That's why I'm asking you the question. In terms of use, what do you think is the most general use for the parks? Like, people, do they come to camp? Do they come to hike? Do most people, fish? Like, why do they use the parks?
Our number one thing for drawing people to the park is our campgrounds.
Okay.
Our campground, and then you start talking about our cabins, and then people come out for family reunions. During the summertime, family reunions are big. That's some of the things I was telling you earlier that, people have been coming for 20 to 30 years for a family reunion because that is the central location for a lot of them to come. And when they was coming as kids, and then now they bring their kids, so it's just special to them. And when one family had told me years ago, he said, I wouldn't change the location for nothing in the world because I got so many great memories when I was 5 years old. And I was talking to a guy that was in his 60s. And that's what's special about state parks.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
You know, Chip over there, he camps and kayaks and does those kinds of things. And, you know, he's much younger than us.
Yes, sir.
You know, and, you know, that's what I think too. There's a generational aspect of this. We're not doing it just to do it. It's about preserving these places so that, you know, the next 10-year-old Andre can enjoy it for Bible school, right? For the future.
That's exactly right. So that's what we try to do. We want to leave it better than we found it, for generations to come. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's why we're making all these upgrades and changes right now, so that, you know, 25, 30 years down the road, they will be able to preserve the, you know, the state parks and be still coming for, you know, bringing their kids back to the state parks.
Yeah. Well, Andre, what's funny is when I was growing up, when I was in youth group and Boy Scouts, one of my favorite parks to go to was Roosevelt. And I would probably go there like 2 or 3 times like a year from the point when I was, 14 to 18 years old. Yes. And you were the park manager over there, and right. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yes, but you'll never forget that moment because, you know, you enjoy coming to state park.
Definitely. And I still go to Roosevelt. It's still one of my favorite state parks just because I have those lasting memories.
Right. And see, another one of the memories that I can think of now, man, I was probably 10 to 12 years old then too. Me and my dad. You know, my dad was my hero. Me and him was out there fishing on the bank of Roosevelt State Park, just enjoying the day. And just having that moment with my dad, just being able to, you know, spend time with him. Like I said, I was the oldest one, so it was just me and him. So it was my time. And my dad passed away when he was 52 years old, so I don't have him around now, but I still have those great memories of me and him fishing at Roosevelt State Park that I'll never forget.
Right.
So
right. And you guys were able to have that experience because the state of Mississippi and the department saw it and made it a priority. You know, and the Parks Commission comes along and you're able to have a state park that is open to the public. And you, as a kid growing up, you and your dad in Morton, you can just go fishing.
That's right.
Sometimes we take that for granted as citizens, don't we?
I definitely think we do sometimes because, you know, even like the local citizens of Scott County, sometimes they take Roosevelt for granted because it's close. And the first thing they say, well, you know, I know Roosevelt out there. But I can promise you, you know, all of our state parks are hidden gems. Mm-hmm. You know, without our state parks, a lot of people wouldn't be able to go out and relax, wouldn't be able to go out and fish, wouldn't be able to camp, and just enjoy nature. That's the biggest thing. You know, you can go out to the end of our state parks and just walk and just enjoy nature. And I promise you, our state parks are so relaxing because you have the water there that you can go sit around. So without our state parks, I just think, you know, Mississippi wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah. So in regards to Mississippi, you're a lifelong Mississippian.
Yes, sir.
We've kind of already talked about how your story really is incredible. The way that, you know, the parks and the same places in your hometown, it's woven into your story in and out. What is special about this state in terms of people who enjoy the outdoors, the way things happen, the way people take care of each other? Like, I know that's a broad question, but for you as a lifelong Mississippian, the pride in your home state, how do you describe that?
It's undescribable almost, man, because, you know, I'm passionate about Mississippi. You know, a lot of people wanted down Mississippi for different things, but I wouldn't trade living in Mississippi for nothing in the world. What I love about Mississippi is when I go different places, you know, everybody speak. Most people friendly. I really hardly ever have any kind of problems with when I see people I speak and say hello, and they speak back. But I have been to other states. When I speak to somebody, they look at you and don't speak to you. So just the friendly side of people in Mississippi. Everybody seemed to pretty much get along, you know, overall. And we look out for each other. A small town like Morton, every time I go uptown, I see somebody I know. And it's always a conversation. It's not just, hey, how you doing? It's a conversation that might last 5 to 10 minutes. You get a hug from people, and that's the stuff. That's why I still live in Morton today, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
And when you go back to Ole Miss football games, they recognize you there too.
Same thing. You know, former teammates, when we go back, we have a good time. We start catching up. We go back to when we was 18, 19, 20 years old. Mm-hmm. I know you know all about that. Right. It's just special moments. Every time I go to Ole Miss, I see somebody that I know or that I played with or a classmate that we was there at the same time, that type of stuff. So, and we just always play catch up, and everybody just picked right back up where we were when we was in college.
Yeah. Well, and you were telling me earlier, football runs in the family.
We done had some pretty good talent in our family, I believe. Deuce McAllister is my cousin. Michael Davis is my cousin. Both of them did great things as running backs. One at Mississippi State, one at Ole Miss. And, hopefully we got some other cousins coming along that we can do some other great things in the future.
Yeah. So at family reunions, I guess egg bowl discussions are interesting for you.
It's definitely interesting. So, we enjoy those moments. We go back and forth, but we always, we do kind of, silently cheer for the other team when they're not playing, our team. So, and I got to go to a wedding in 2 weeks. Michael Davis getting married. Me, him, Deuce, and all of us will be there. So we all on that same team then.
That's great. So you mentioned that experience as a kid going fishing at Roosevelt State Park. Brim fishing?
We brim fishing and catfish.
Catfish.
Yes, sir, but mostly brim. Yeah, my dad was a big brim guy.
So let's just say that someone meets you, they find out that you're the director of the state parks, and they say, hey, what's the best lake at a state park for me to catch brim instead of Mississippi? Where do I need to go? What would you say?
Of course, I'm gonna say Roosevelt.
Okay.
But that's what like I said, I'm gonna say Roosevelt for one because that's the one I fished the most. But we all of our state parks got some good brim fishing too. Of course, at Hugh Wyatt is a great fishing lake up there.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people, that's one of the top fishing lakes that most people go to. So, and that's in Grenada. So we just invite you to come out to our parks. Just enjoy the park. If you want to fish, you want to camp, you want to stay in a cabin. Some people don't want to camp because they don't want to do that, the roughing it or whatever. Right. But we got cabins. We got something to offer for everybody. We have a lot of weddings out at our state parks as well. So, we have people all the time that have weddings at our parks because they met at our park at one of the, one of the church group meetings and different things like that. So they just come back full circle and get married at that park.
If somebody asked, what's a hidden gem? Those 25 state parks, maybe that I don't know about. Where's that hidden gem in the state park system?
Like I say, the biggest thing, the hidden gems as far as our state parks is just being able to find that special moment.
Yeah.
When you visit our parks.
Maybe in proximity close to where someone lives.
I totally agree. So I promise you, if you go to our parks and just kind of start looking, you'll find a hidden gem. I can promise you that. Yeah. It might not be at your local park, but once you go travel off and just visit some of these other ones, but I could guarantee you, at each park, it's a hidden gem at all 25 state parks.
And at each park, there's a local ranger there, a person there, a park manager that you can talk to?
At every one of our parks, we have staff at every park.
Okay.
I wanted to mention this too. One of our local legislators came to me one time. Me and him was riding around because we was touring the park and I was just showing him around. He told me he got his first kiss at one of our state parks. So that's another moment right there that he said he would never forget. And he ended up marrying the lady that he got his kids from. So special moments. Yeah. And that's the kind of things that I promise you'll find at our parks if you just come out and visit. It might be that you caught your big fish there, or you was camping and you remember roasting marshmallows in a campground. Mm-hmm. That's the type of experience that you won't never forget, I can promise you. Spending time with your family, and that's what our parks are about anyway. Our parks are family parks. And that's what it's all about, spending family time, enjoying your family, and enjoying the great outdoors.
Yeah. So for people who listen that they enjoy the state parks, maybe they have a local state park. I live in Tupelo. We got Tom Bigby. Right. Of course,
they got Trace over there too.
Trace over there. I've caught some big fish in that lake.
Yes, sir.
Don't tell Larry Pugh, though. He'll be asking me where my spot is.
He definitely would. Yeah.
I took my daughter a couple of years ago. We had a birthday in the summer. One of the things we did, we went to Tishomingo State Park and hiked it. She had never seen it before. We've enjoyed it. So someone like me, other families like us, we've enjoyed the parks, and we want to know, what can we do to help? Is it rules we need to obey? Are there events we can attend? What can we do as citizens who enjoy them to make sure we do our part to make sure that you can do your job and we can have these parks in the future?
The biggest thing is just keep visiting and supporting our state parks. A lot of times our fees is only $2 per person to come in. A lot of people don't want to pay it. So I just want you to realize now all the money that state parks make goes back into our state parks. So that's one thing that's very special. So we do have to charge a fee, in order to keep our state parks running, just like any other business would.
Sure.
So the biggest thing is just keep coming visiting our state parks, keep bringing your family, keep making memories, and I promise you that we don't do our best to keep these state parks and making these state parks the best in the country, not just in Mississippi.
That's great. And if folks have questions or they want to call and have a question, what's the best advice? Just go online, look up a phone number.
I always tell people, I'd rather for you to call our state parks because they know it better than online or
the folks who are on the site.
The folks that's at that location. Yeah. Please give them a call because our staff want to talk with our guests and our customers and to tell them all the great things they got going on at their parks. So I always encourage you to call directly to that state park, ask questions, let them tell you exactly what they got to offer, and then you can go online and make the reservation if you want to later. But get all the good information from the staff that's there working every single day.
That sounds great. Andre, it's a real pleasure to get to talk to you and meet you.
Oh, I enjoyed it, man. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Yes, sir.
The next time I come down, I'm going to bring a football.
Okay.
And you and I will go out to Roosevelt, and we'll see if I've still got it, and we'll see if you've still got it. How about that?
It sounds like a plan. Yes, sir.
That's great.
Give me a little head start. Let me go ahead. I don't want to have to run 10 yards. Let me get 7 yards already downfield.
Or we'll just do the 3-step, 5-yard hitch.
There you go.
About all my arms got in it nowadays.
That's all my legs got too. So that sounds great to me.
That sounds good.
Yes,
Andre,
sir.
thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
That's Andre Hollis here on the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast. He is the director of Mississippi State Parks. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you outdoors.